Hi there, my name is Laura Ralston and I'm supporting teams generate, access and utilize data. In the next two Ignites, we will highlight some data partnership opportunities available to operational teams. First, we will hear from Brian King and Medha Devare about CGIAR's Big Data platform. They host Inspire Challenges connecting global innovators with data to develop field-ready agri-food solutions, and they also host the Guardian repository, making it easier to discover the data you need for your projects, as well as share data for collaborative research. In the second Ignite, we will hear from Jess Fanzo and Lawrence Haddad about their food system dashboard and how it can be used to generate country profiles, helping to describe and diagnose food system problems at a national level. I hope you enjoy both of them. Thanks.
Agriculture is getting much more digital and digitized, and we might be able to envision a future not too distant that looks something like this, with a lot of data, very rich data and large amounts of it increasingly coming from devices. In order to be able to harness that, hopefully we're already focusing on data-driven solutions, but increasingly we're going to be looking at big data-driven solutions, I think. And for that, of course, we need to be able to find and access data. We need to be able to interpret what that data is telling us. We need to be able to interoperate across it. We need to be able to aggregate it. And it would be nice if we could visualize it. And of course, in order to develop solutions and insights, we do need to be able to analyze the data. Research data, we assume, will be open by default position. However, open is no longer enough. We need data to be open by default, but we also need it to be fair, which means it needs to be findable, it needs to be accessible, it needs to be interoperable and reusable. This is, in a sense, is our approach to making data open and fair and providing some value for a number of different stakeholders, from researchers, policymakers, to farmers, and a number of other stakeholders that may not be listed here. And the heart of this is the Guardian data discovery portal. And I'll dive into it a little bit more, but this is the heart of our data. And what it does is to make discoverable data assets, publications and data that sit in a number of different places. And you can see that on the left-hand side with these kind of greenish pillboxes. So the data and publications you see are coming from all of the CGIAR centers, USAID, what used to be DFID, the World Bank's LSMS data is in there as well. We also have data from the USDA's Ag Data Commons, from the Crop Trust's Gene Bank's platforms, Genesis system, the Government of India's Open Data Portal, and this list keeps growing. So that is metadata harvesting primarily. We're not holding the resources themselves. But the key thing is that any of the data in Guardian is then available for wider discovery and use. It is being indexed by Google, for instance, and it's out there and available for anyone to use. In order to have, the kind of data that I started out talking about, the aggregatable data, the interoperable data, we are also trying to attack that problem, essentially, of being able to generate data that's already fair. So the development of digital tools that are based on standards like ontologies and controlled vocabularies to collect data that is already born fair, for instance. And then we've also built workflows, the FAIR workflows. These will be released by early October. That will help users, researchers, data managers, for instance, to comply with these standards very easily without necessarily having to really dive into ontologies or even necessarily know what they are. We want to make it easy for people to be able to do this. And lastly, I had talked about visualization and analysis. So we're also building in data exploration and mapping tools and capabilities and pipelines.
Hi, everybody. It's a real pleasure to be with you. All of these things, including the challenge, open processes, and we're looking to continue to kind of reinforce and build through partnerships. And we feel that this is how we can accelerate sourcing, validating, vetting, and fostering digital agriculture innovations across this whole spectrum from research to impact.
To access data for your projects and search the CGIAR Guardian portal, please go to the link shown. We are also teaming up with CGIAR to develop a World Bank-specific Inspire challenge focused on food security, leveraging our own data connections through the development data partnerships alongside their network of researchers. Please get in touch with me, Laura Ralston, if you would like to be involved.
Why do food systems matter? I mean, food is obviously an exceptionality in society. We all need it to survive, but it very much surrounds our everyday life, our culture, our traditions. But it's also so critically important for economic growth, economic equity, environmental health, and of course, the two areas that Lawrence and I are particularly interested in is human health, nutrition, and healthy diets. We decided to build this food systems dashboard. And one of the bigger reasons was that policymakers need to understand their food system, what kind of food systems are in their country, and understand how they're faring, how they are providing diets for their citizens. But the data to inform policymakers is not there, or it's fragmented, or it's out of date. So policymakers are often in the dark on how to manage their food systems, and they don't know where to intervene. They don't know where to start to try to improve them. So this dashboard is one tool. So we tried to choose indicators that represent most countries in the world. We have 170 indicators now, but by January, we're doing a push and we'll have over 250 indicators. Another way to go through the dashboard is through these country profiles. These country profiles take those 170 indicators. What we've done is we've curated a set of those 170 indicators, about 30 indicators. And what you can do is look at a country and get a macro view, a snapshot, a profile.
Let me walk you through a hypothetical example. So, for example, you'll see in Kenya, if you're a Ugandan policymaker, you will be pretty alarmed at the high levels of cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and diet-related cancers. And 22% of the probability of dying between 30 and 70 years from these types of non-communicable diseases is 22%. That's much higher than it is for Kenya. Kenya, it's only 13%, right? That's the neighbor. So you might be thinking, what's going on? The dashboard will help you get some clues. It won't tell you what you need to do, but it'll give you some clues. Compared to Kenya, Uganda has a pretty low vegetable intake, 58 in Uganda, 96 in Kenya. This is domestic level of consumption. Price of the vegetables in Uganda is also higher, 56 compared to 47. And the supply of vegetables in Uganda is lower than in Kenya, 79 compared to 109. And perhaps most strikingly, the yields of vegetable is a third in Uganda of what it is in Kenya. Much of that is for export, but not all of it, obviously. In addition, the supply side, on the demand side, Uganda doesn't have a set of publicly available food-based dietary guidelines. Kenya does, and in those guidelines, it strongly urges the population to consume more vegetables. If you're a Kenyan policymaker and you're worried about high levels of diet-related chronic illness, one of the things you might want to explore is the low consumption of vegetables, more expensive vegetables, the lower supply of vegetables, the lower productivity of vegetables, and you've got no dietary guidelines on vegetables. So you can have a supply side investigation and you can look at demand side. It doesn't really matter if you have food-based dietary guidelines. Are we doing anything else on the demand side to boost the desirability of consuming vegetables? So that's sort of one example. And these
all of the data is downloadable. You can download the entire spreadsheet. I don't recommend that, but you can select certain data that you want to download.
The important point is, from our perspective, please use this dashboard, share it. Really important to help us improve it. We know it's not perfect. We think it's the best thing out there, but it's only better than the next best thing. It's not nearly as good as it could be. And most importantly, we want people to really act on it.
To find out more about this public platform, please go to the link shown in the slide. We will be offering practitioner clinics on the use of the GAIN dashboard, and we'll also be working with Lawrence and Jess to suggest updates to improve it based on your and our client needs. Please get in touch with me, Laura Ralston, if you're interested in getting involved.